Hello everyone, my name's Alex and today we are going to be painting the Bulldozer cutout in the style 1. So I already prepared a drawing of what I'm going to be painting today, so you can pause the video right now and take a pencil and just draw out what I have drawn out here. If you wanted to change things up a bit, you absolutely can. But this is what I'm going to be working from today. So I'm going to take you step by step through this painting. So just go ahead and follow along. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get my yellow colors and my kind of golden colors all laid out here really nicely. So I'm going to start by taking my biggest brush. So I'm just taking kind of a big flat brush like this, something like that. And I'm going to start by painting basically everything around this kind of window and door, so everything right here. And then I'm also going to go ahead and paint this strip yellow, and I'm going to paint this front yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and just start painting this, and then I'll probably put like a little time lapse on it. And then if you guys want to fast forward to see what I've already done, you guys can, or if you want to just kind of follow along with me, you can too. So I'm just grabbing some yellow. I also like to grab a little bit of white too, just because sometimes yellow is a little bit of a transparent color. So just by adding a little bit of white to it, you can really brighten it up. So I'm just going in, and it's okay if you get a little messy with your lines. So if I get some paint in a spot where I don't want it, that's okay. So as I'm starting to get my color on here, I'm realizing that maybe I want it to be a little bit more like golden kind of. So what I'm going to do is take some of a kind of like peanut buttery golden color, and I'm just kind of adding that to my yellow and white mixture. And this is just going to deepen it up. If you have like a deeper yellow, I would probably suggest using that. But right now I do not have that with me, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of create my own. And that's already turning out more like the color that I wanted. I'm trying not to make this darker than this part here and this part in here, because I'm going to be making that like very deep kind of a gold color. So I'm just going to continue on with this. I'm also going to paint this kind of little rectangle piece right here. And it's okay if you get into the wheels and stuff. We're going to be painting all of this stuff all black, so you can just get some of the paint into it, and that's totally fine. So something like that. I'm also going to right now go ahead and color in this part here, this kind of long rectangle piece, and I'm doing this because I want this to be the lighter color, and then under here is going to be what everything else is going to be, which I'll show you in just a minute. So now that I have this first layer of this kind of like lighter yellow all in these spots like this, I'm going to go ahead and switch to a smaller brush just so I can get a little more precise, and I'm going to be painting this little door right here, this whole section right in here, and I'm also going to go ahead and paint up here and then this kind of rectangle in here. So I'm going to put my big brush away, and I'm going to switch to kind of like a flatter, smaller brush, so same kind of shape, just smaller. And with this, I want this to be a little more dark, so I'm just gonna I'm still grabbing some white and yellow, but this time I'm grabbing a lot of that golden color. And I'm gonna go ahead and start painting. And what we'll do is we're gonna take a little bit of black later on, and we're going to go back over all of these pencil lines that I've drawn, and we're going to sharpen everything up really good. So even if you are staying in the lines really nicely, but you're still kind of getting some weird edges and weird kind of brush lines and stuff like that, that's okay, because we're going to clean everything up with a nice outline around everything. So I'm going to go ahead and keep painting, and you guys can go ahead and follow along too. And like I said, especially with these lighter colors, if you get a little bit into where these like big kind of tires are, that kind of tire band, I guess I would call it, in there, that's okay because I can really still see my pencil lines, so I don't really have to worry about going in between each line, which is nice. All right, the last part we're gonna do is this rectangle up in here. So I'm going to, and if I get outside the lines a little bit, that's okay. All right, so these are all of the main pieces that I want colored. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add a second coat of paint everywhere. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and I have a hair dryer nearby, and all I'm gonna do is completely blow dry this, use the highest setting and the hottest setting, and it'll dry it in like less than a minute. So all you have to do is dry off this and then add a second layer of each color, and then we will move on to the next steps. So go ahead and do that now. All right, you guys, so this is what I have so far. I did do 2 coats of each color and it is fully dry now. I dried it with the hair dryer. So now we can start adding some of the details to the window and also to the tire situation going on down here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add a layer of a light blue to this window area right here. So to do that, I'm just going to be using that same kind of square brush. It helps to use a square brush, especially when you're, painting a square, because you can get right in those corners with this brush and it really helps out a lot. So I'm just going to be taking a little bit of white, tiny bit of blue, and then with that, I'm just going to paint in my little square right here. And this window spot over here dries pretty fast too. So as I'm putting my first coat on, the other side is kind of drying. So then I just kind of go back over again like that. And it's okay if your lines are a little bit wiggly. Like I said, we are going to kind of outline everything really good with some black, so that's okay. And then what we're gonna do now is focus on all of this going on down here. So what we'll do first is I'm going to be using a tool that I swear by and I love, which are these paint markers, and I've used them in probably every video I've made. But this is a black paint marker. I also have it in white, and I got these from Walmart, and they do have all the colors you could ever need. But I just have black and white. I find that I need those 2 colors the most. And this is what it looks like. Even if you don't get it from Walmart, you can get any kind of paint marker or pen anywhere. And they just have a really nice fine tip on them. And it is just acrylic paint, so it makes making lines and tracing stuff really easy. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to outline this kind of, it looks like a gear almost, this part up here. And then I'm also going to outline around my tires and kind of get that all situated. So that way it's easier for me to paint the black in. So rather than having the brush kind of fray and stuff, I like to kind of have this outlined first. So I'm going to go ahead and outline, and you guys can follow along or fast forward. So something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and start outlining everything else too. Alright, so now that I have all of this kind of outlined, coloring everything else in black is going to be a lot easier for me. I'm going to end up coloring all of this smaller circle in here black too. So I'm just outlining. And also outlining helps a lot with just kind of separating everything. Having a darker line here rather than having the pencil helps me keep things a little more clean, and I also can see where I'm going and kind of decipher where's what, you know? So that's all I'm going to be outlining for now. I am going to be going back to this marker eventually. So I'm going to put this away for right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to color all around this kind of section right here in all black. And then what I'll do is color this kind of inner ring right here. See how we have like, it's kind of like a target. We have 1, 2, and 3. The second ring is what I'm going to also color in black. And then what I'm going to do with the tire part is I'm going to make these kind of a darker gray color. So I'm going to go ahead and just start out with all the black and do all that. And then I will also put the gray on here, and then I will come back. So if you don't know what to paint, then you guys can just fast forward because I'm just going to jump to that being all done. Okay, so this is what I have so far. So if you did jump to this part of the video and decided to do everything what you saw, then that's fine. But I have black all around here, black here, and then I have gray and then gray here. So that will kind of finish off the base part of everything. So now what we're going to do is just kind of start detailing everything, and then that'll be it. This is a pretty quick cutout. This isn't something that's super complicated, but if you did want to like make it a little bit different, make it more realistic, you can absolutely do that, no problem. But for me, I wanted this to be a little more cartoony, a little bit more simple, a little bit easy to do. So this is what we have so far. So what we'll do now is we're going to start adding some of the black outlining everywhere. So I'm going to be using my paint marker. If you do not have a paint marker, that is okay. I always recommend this brush right here too. This is a script brush, and I got this at Michael's, and you can literally get them anywhere. But it's just this like really like fine tipped, very long bristle, and it's really good for making lines. So if you don't have that and you want to get this, if you whatever you prefer is fine. But just so because I have the paint marker, I'm going to go ahead and use it. It just is a little more simple to use. So I'm going to go ahead and start outlining. So the first thing that I want to outline is everything where the window is up here. So I'm just going to take my marker so I have all of this outlined, and then I'm just going to go in right here. The next thing I'm going to do is outline this sort of section. And what I'm doing to get kind of the straightest line I can is instead of moving my wrist around, I use my entire arm. So I don't know if you just saw what I just did there, but instead of using my like fingers and my wrist to make this line, I took my hand, put it down straight, and I just moved my whole arm. So that helps with getting straight lines too. So rather than moving my wrist, I'm just moving my arm, and that's a really good way. Not even with just the paint marker, that technique works with a paintbrush too, especially with a paintbrush. So the next line I'm going to go ahead and outline is over here. You can see I'm just moving my whole arm. Little spots like, you know, little lines, I like to move my wrist around, but for longer ones, I'll move my whole arm. And it just helps me get the straightest line possible that I can. So the next thing I'm going to do is just outline this area here, like that. And then since I have so much outlining over here, I'm going to outline this kind of area. So with my marker, I'm going to go all the way across here. This also just cleans everything up really nicely. Like that. All right, so now that I have all of this outlined, I'm just gonna go in with a few more details with my marker. If you wanna use the brush, absolutely go for it. So what I'm gonna do next is with this kind of door area right here, I'm gonna add a little handle, and you can do that any way you want. I'm just going to create like a little kind of rectangle like that. And then up here in the front, I'm feeling like I need something up here. So what I'm going to do is make these kind of 3 long, rounded, like oval shape, kind of like a half oval, like that. And then I'm going to color these in with black. So something like that. And you can see now just by adding some of these details that things are starting to, you know, take a little more shape, take a little more form. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to kind of just make a line that's going following this line. I'm going to draw it with a pencil first, and that's just going to help me out a little bit easier. So with a pencil, all I'm going to do is kind of follow this line, but I'm just taking like a step away from that. Something like that, just to give this a little more of a shape in there. And then as far as any other details go, you guys can add whatever else you want. I'm just adding little decorative things to this. Maybe like this isn't like an exact replica of a bulldozer. I just kind of found some references online, and I'm kind of taking inspiration from all of those and just putting my own little twist to stuff. So even like right here, I'm feeling like maybe I want to add like some lines right here. And then what I can do is with the marker, I can just go ahead and fill these in. So I have that. And that's why I love these paint markers. You can add so much detail so fast and so quickly and easy. So that's probably as much as I'll do with that detail going on. If you want to add more, and if you have like an exact replica or anything like that, you guys can do whatever you want. But the next thing I'm going to do is start adding some highlights onto here. Now, I would use the marker, the white one, but with this, it's a little more of a subtle kind of white. It takes a lot of layers to brighten it up. So I just like to use classic white paint. And I am going to be going in with that script brush that I was talking about. If you have any other brush, it's fine too. I just find this is really easy. This is going to be the last step that we're going to do, and this is going to just kind of gloss up the entire thing here. So what we're going to do is it's going to add some shine to it, and it'll just make it pop a little bit more. Right now it looks a little flat. So with my nice skinny brush, I'm taking just some white paint. The first thing I want to do is inside the window, it's looking a little bit boring there. So what I like to do to kind of create sort of like a reflection-y sort of look is I'll take the brush and I'll just do a few of these little kind of flicks like that. So then it just adds like sort of a fun little reflection. And then I'm going to take a little bit more white here. And with this, I like to take this and make like longer lines and some sort of like dots and dashes. And this just kind of, I like to add them pretty random, but I'm also following the shape of the cutout. So if I made a line like this and I wanted to make a highlight next to it, I wouldn't do it like this. I would follow that line, add a dot, maybe add another line. So I like just adding these to stuff that needs to be a little bit glossed up. And I think it has a really effective look to it, and I think that it's just like a fun little way to add a really nice detail. And you can already see that the bulldozer starting to kind of come to life a little bit. So I'm going to keep going in with these highlights, and I'm going to time lapse it right here. So you can either fast forward to when everything's done and then place them, or you can just kind of watch what I'm doing and kind of pause and go as you please. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. All right, so now that I have these nice bright highlights on here, everything's looking really dimensional. We have some good contrast now that we have these lighter spots in here, and it's also adding just a little bit of shine and a little bit of gloss to the Bulldozer. But I was looking at this and I think that I want to add another step to the painting. This was going to be done, but I felt that I kind of thought of something else that I wanted to do with this. So this is looking a little bit clean. So you can either stop at this point, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of messy this up a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of piles of dirt kind of all over this, just to kind of make it a little more rugged, make it a little more used. So you could stop at this point if you wanted something more clean, and that's totally fine. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry all these highlights really good. Now I'm going to just add some of that dirt onto there. So I'm just going to be careful to avoid some of the highlighting spots that I just added. But I'm going to be taking any kind of brown. I have like a darker brown right here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that to my plate here. And I'm going to be doing like a really dry brush, really textured kind of style here. So I'm using a more kind of rounded brush, just something that I can use to kind of smash and, you know, pat around. So I'm going to get some of the brown and I'm going to wipe off some of the paint from my brush. And then I'm going to use the side of my brush and I'm just going to do something like this. So I'm just keeping it pretty random. So it looks like it was kind of working in the dirt. So I think that that's just going to be a fun little way to get random with it. If you are doing this step, I think it is really fun. So I'm just kind of keeping some dirt right into the front here. Just like that. And then this brown probably won't show up too well in here. I can add some if I want to, but I think that that's going to be good. So I'm going to say that's good for the dirt. If you wanted to add more dirt, you love this idea and you want it everywhere, that's totally fine. I do want to keep some of this kind of clean so you guys can see all the good details, but I think that's going to be it for the painting now. So that's all, and thank you guys so much for painting with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was very helpful. So thanks again, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.